Hoo Enterprises.
You've seen and heard Buzz and Poppy on TV. Now you can bring them home in memorable storybooks and other special products for your family. The television adventures are now a videotape series you can enjoy again and again.
What sort of game are you playing with our friend here, boy?
The Buzz and Poppy educational books bring game-like fun to learning. Preschool colouring books and specially designed workbooks can prepare your child for learning English and maths. Don't forget, you'll get these great products at the warehouse and other fine stores.
Sometimes older people forget things.
But parents will remember this. The workbooks can give your child 16 different learning skills that are necessary preparation for reading, writing and succeeding in school. Kids love Buzz and Poppy. Parents love them too because Buzz and Poppy adventures are great stories with valuable life lessons. Buzz and Poppy products become more valuable all the time. The video reading series teaches children the mechanics of reading. Award-winning storytellers can show your children the text word for word as it's being read.
The hoo-hoos wandered through the forest.
This increases your child's vocabulary. And now you can increase your child's reading fluency with the Buzz and Poppy Early Reading Interactive CD-ROM. Watch your children make progress from beginning levels to advanced levels as they explore great stories at their own pace. Buzz and Poppy are the friends your children have been looking for. Friends for learning, friends for adventure, and friends for fun.
A Jan and Trevor Yaxley book. Buzz and Poppy and the Singing Bees. Story by Jim Mora and illustrated by Brent Chambers. Told by Merv Smith. Buzz and Poppy learn the meaning of friendship when they meet and help Bertram, the singing bee. They delight in his singing and beautiful colours, but this attracts the attention of the local wasps, led by the meanest wasp of them all, Bovva. It was a bright, sunny afternoon, and the whole hoo-hoo family was outside. Woody was repairing the hammock. Dolly was picking blackberries for one of her famous pies. Buzz was practicing skateboard jumps. Baby Snobbly was in her sandpit. And Poppy? Poppy was playing her flute in the flower garden. Poppy believed that flowers grew bigger and more beautiful if you played music to them. The flowers loved it. Poppy was very creative. She could sound like the wind blowing gently through their petals, promising rain showers and sunshine. A shadow passed over the garden. Poppy paused for breath. Suddenly, she heard the same notes she had just been playing repeated back to her. She turned around and was face to face with the largest bee she had ever seen. It had gorgeous stripes of brilliant blue and autumn gold. "Was that you calling me?" asked the bee. "Well, no," replied Poppy. "I was just playing my flute." "Pity," said the big bee. "You see, I'm a singing bee. We're a lot like normal working bees, except we're bigger and more musical. We zing to each other when we discover a nice flower garden like yours. Today, I must have gone too far from the hive because I can't find my way back. When I heard you, I thought it was one of the other bees. You got our song exactly right." Buzz skated over to see what was going on. Remembering her manners, Poppy introduced him. The bee's name was Bertram, But you can call me Bert, he buzzed. Does your song have words? Asked Poppy. Sometimes, said Bert. Usually we just hum the tune, but the words go like this. We are the famous singing bees. We gather pollen for our queen. We make it into honeycombs. We're often heard, but seldom seen. That's a lovely song, but how are we going to get you home? Wondered Poppy. I know. I'll ask Mum and Dad. They know most things. Woody was surprised to meet Bert, but Dolly had heard of the singing bees. She'd seen the hive last time she visited her sister on the other side of the silver stream. She told Bertram exactly how he could get home, but only after he'd had some afternoon tea to give him energy for the flight. She brought out raspberry cola and a slice of sweet cheesecake. Poppy was worried Bert might not eat cheesecake, but he loved it because it rhymed with bees cake. Then he flew away, waving goodbye with his feet and singing his song. The next day was school. Susan Slater, the teacher, announced there would be face painting that afternoon. All the young insects could choose their favourite colours. Well, of course, after the visit by Bertram Bee, Buzz and Poppy both chose brilliant blue and autumn gold. When they were finished, they looked just like bees. As they walked home, all the other insects stared at them. They think we're real bees, said Buzz proudly. What Buzz and Poppy didn't know was that bees didn't normally come to this part of the forest because this was wasp territory. What's more, the worst wasp of all was nearby. They called him Big Bad Bovva, or BB Bovva for short. Bovva hated being called his nickname because he would hear bee in it. Not once, but twice. Bees were loathsome, cuddly creatures who actually worked, and worked hard. He hated bees. What's more, they dared to wear stripes. Stripes were wasp uniform. The sight of Buzz and Poppy painted in bee colours enraged Bovva. Screaming for his fellow wasps to follow, he dived at the little hoo-hoos, mad with anger. Buzz saw Bovva coming. Quick, he shouted to Poppy. We'll have to risk Silky's trap. The wasps won't dare follow. Silky's trap was famous in the forest. It was a web made by Silky Spider to snare her dinners. Any unwary insect that blundered too close. Buzz knew that you were safe as long as you didn't touch the threads of the web. They were as sticky as superglue, and you'd never break free. Worried that the children weren't yet home, and alerted by the buzzing echoing around the treetops, Woody and Dolly came running through the forest. At the same time, Bovva's reinforcements arrived, hissing their war cry. We sting on the wing! We attack in a pack! Woody and Dolly had to run into some very thick bushes to escape. Through the bushes, they watched the wasps pick up twigs and advance on Silky's web to pull it apart. Silky Spider had been rudely awoken from a very pleasant dream in which she'd frightened a little girl eating something mushy out of a bowl. Silky always had vivid dreams after eating blowflies. She was grumpy. And why was her web being pulled so severely? "Leave my wonderful web alone, you woeful wasps!" cried Silky, very upset once she realized what was going on. But she kept her distance. These wasps were riled. Close to the website, Woody emerged from the bushes with his own stick and set about hacking and whacking at the flurry of wasp wings. He thought he could see the frightened eyes of his children among all the stripes whizzing about in front. Yes, he could get to them. Not far to go. Wham! Woody fell to the ground, flattened by a sharp sting that had zigzagged at him like lightning. Dolly helped Woody back to the bushes. "Save yourself, my love," whispered Woody feebly. The sting seemed serious. Lippo the leech slithered towards Woody. "Oh, Lippo," cried Dolly, "can you help?" said Lippo as he started to suck out the poison from Woody's wound. Back at the website, the wasps were breaking through the threads.
I'll soon get you two,
bellowed Bovva to Buzz and Poppy. He pushed his furious face through a tear in the web. The hole was growing bigger all the time. Buzz bravely punched him on the nose. Poppy was terrified, but she took out a flute and began to play. Suddenly, the tune echoed back. It got louder and louder, drowning out the yelling wasps. The song became a chant with words that Poppy hadn't heard before. "We are the fighting, singing bees. We go to battle for our queen. We conquer all our enemies to keep the forest clean and green." It was a small battalion of bees. The wasps turned to face the attack. The bees were outnumbered, but they formed a fighting beeline. "Crush them!" screamed BB Bovva. "Sting them! Scratch them! Mash them!" "There's Bert!" cried Poppy. He was wearing a special T-shirt to protect himself from stings. Across the back was written his name, Bertram. All the bees had their names on their backs. They had come as a team. What a commotion there was! A great jostle and jumble and whirring of wings. The wasps resisted fiercely, but the big bees biffed them aside and bowled them over on the way through to rescue Buzz and Poppy. Finally, it was finished. Bert was sitting on top of a beaten Bovva. "All right," said Bovva. "We surrender this time. But we'll make you pay. We know where your honey hives are." "Yes, come and see us," replied Bert. "We'll use the honey to stick your wings together, and you'll have a long walk home. Now, be off." Buzz and Poppy ran to their parents. Dolly hugged them both tightly, then brushed them down and wiped the paint from their faces. Woody was still weak, but he would be all right. He thanked Lippo very much for his suction. Bert explained that he realized Poppy was in trouble because the tune she played had trembled. Buzz and Poppy had one more adventure in store. The singing bees linked themselves together and flew the two of them over the silver stream to their beehive. Inside the hive's biggest room, they were presented to the Queen. She was surrounded by all sorts of wonderful musical instruments that the bees used for their singing practices. Buzz and Poppy were overawed, but they managed to thank the Queen for sending the bees to help them. "Poppy and Buzz," said the Queen Bee, "you showed kindness to one of my bees when he was lost. That makes you our friends. We were pleased to help you and to teach those horrid wasps a good lesson." Buzz and Poppy were given a pot of VS, very special, honey, and the bees performed a farewell song. "We are the famous singing bees. We heard you call us on the breeze. We came to help make right from wrong, and now you two are in our song." Even Buzz had to hide a small tear as they waved goodbye. The end.